Well, it's the 49th anniversary of Roe v. Wade next week, and abortion access is at stake like never before, with the Supreme Court expected to weigh in on a key case later this year. Kimberly Inez McGuire is the executive director of URGE, Unite for Reproductive and Gender Equity, to explain what's needed to access abortion nationwide. Hey, Kimberly, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, first, can you tell us what is the significance of Roe versus Wade as we have it today?
Absolutely. So 49 years ago, Roe v. Wade was a Supreme Court decision that said that abortion is a constitutional right and made it legal in every state. I wish I could tell you the story ended there. Unfortunately, between that 49 years ago and now, even though abortion is still technically legal, it has become harder and harder to get, with hundreds of state laws intended to create all sorts of new hoops and barriers, really intended to make it almost impossible to get abortion, even though it's legal.
So what is the impact of those barriers maybe on someone that may need it for, say, a medical reason or otherwise?
Absolutely. So, if you think about someone who is experiencing an unintended pregnancy, is seeking abortion care, if they have to leave the state because there's not a clinic in their community, that may take days, it may take a week. A lot of people don't have paid sick time off. A lot of people, are struggling to pay for childcare, right? We also see barriers that make it so your health insurance doesn't cover abortion. So these are laws that ban abortion from being covered by insurance. So then people have to pay out of pocket. And, the reality is most of us can't afford to pay for our healthcare out of pocket. That's why we have insurance. So the impact is people can't afford the abortion, people are delayed in getting their care, and some people just plain can't get the care they need.
So I know that a lot of us, especially up here, we've seen news about states like Texas that have banned abortions or made restrictions in that way. Can you clarify, are people in those states still able to get access to them or not at all? How does that work?
Yeah, so if you call an abortion clinic in Texas today and ask for care, they're going to have to tell you that they can't provide that care. They're turning people away. They can't even tell people where they can go. So I recently helped someone who lives in Texas get an abortion, and ultimately we had to make an appointment at a clinic 600 miles away in a different state. She had to drive herself. She had to find childcare. She had to get time off of work. So it's absolutely true. Right now, people in Texas aren't able to get abortion care.
So what happens if Roe versus Wade is overturned on a national level? What would be the impact of that?
Yeah, I have to say the impact would be devastating. So if Roe v. Wade is overturned, and right now we do expect that that's what this Supreme Court is going to do. I know that that's hard for folks to believe, but we absolutely think that's where we're headed. And if that happens, half of the country will make abortion illegal and inaccessible. And so what that means is the people who live in those states will have very few options. They will either have to be forced to stay pregnant or they'll have to leave the state. And in the half of the country where we hope and we think abortion will remain legal, their clinics are going to be absolutely overwhelmed. I mean, just imagine, people coming from all over just trying to get the care in the few clinics that will remain.
And I think quickly, a lot of people have a misconception sometimes that abortion is specifically about choice, about lifestyle, or that someone's choosing not to go forward with a pregnancy. But there are a lot of cases where there's a medical necessity for it, or other reasons that someone might choose to get that. Can you explain that? I know we're just about to the end of our time, but just kind of briefly explain.
Sure. There are so many reasons that someone might need to end an unwanted or unplanned pregnancy. And sometimes someone may have a wanted pregnancy, but something can go terribly wrong, and then they have to have an abortion because of, that medical reason. I will say, as someone who recently became a mom, carrying a child is really hard. Giving birth is really hard, and no one should be forced to do that against their will. So, from my perspective, your reason is the best reason. If you don't want to continue your pregnancy, you shouldn't have to. You should be able to get the care you need.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us and providing more information on that topic. I know that it's a hot topic, so we appreciate you being here. Well, coming up on today's show, becoming a bold leader that takes risks and embraces change. You can learn how at the upcoming Lady Boss Retreat, and we'll have more on that next.